Hi, my name's Sarah and welcome to the Sip and Knit podcast. I have a drink today. You should have one too. I am surrounded by my knitting. You will see that soon. Grab yours if you want to knit along or crochet along or make along while I'm talking. And we're going to talk about what I am making during quarantine. I'm going to omit unfinished objects that are kind of languishing in boxes in my apartment, and I'm going to talk about specifically what I'm working on and what I aim to finish by the end of at least the year, because Lord knows it'll probably still be quarantine till then. Today, we're drinking probably my favorite drink ever. No, that's a lie. An old fashioned is my favorite drink. Maybe we'll do that on the next episode. My favorite vodka drink. That's what we'll say. Caveat vodka, because I don't really drink vodka, but this is delicious. It's a Moscow Mule. Now, when I say it's a Moscow Mule, pretend there's Tito's vodka in here. There's not. It's Absolute. It's the Pride version. It was cheap and gay, so I bought it.
Yes, I'd like to apply to become a homosexual, please.
Trust me when I say Tito's vodka and a Moscow Mule. Delicious, okay? This is ginger beer. The authentic, legit, kind of burns your throat when you drink it, Jamaican ginger beer. You want that one. And it is lime juice. Not real. It's the real lime shit you get at the grocery store. And some Absolute vodka. And some ice. And a glass straw. Because we're on YouTube and you have to make it look like you know what you're doing. So a glass straw, I feel like, sells it. I want to tell you about all the knitting I've been doing. Not really. Here's the thing. There are going to be 6 projects that I started and have not finished during quarantine that I'm not going to show you in this video because they are either crochet, a blanket, a combination of those two things, or something that I just don't plan on finishing until the new year that I can kind of discuss later on a little while. What I'm trying to say as well is I have started and not finished so many projects. So this is now my accountability diary where I'm going to talk about bags of unfinished objects. This one's covered in dog hair. Don't judge me. If you have an animal, you know my problem. Okay? So we're going to talk about whips. We're going to talk about finished objects. And we're going to talk about a half object. We'll talk about that one first because if you watched the most recent video on the channel, that's not this one, you know it was about sock knitting. And if you watched that one, you know that I was about halfway through this beauty. I'm no longer halfway through. It's got a heel, it's got a toe that I had to Kitchener twice. The ends aren't woven in. Okay, the end is not woven in, but other than that, it's a sock. If you watched my other videos, you know that the socks that I make for my girlfriend, or the pair of socks that I made for my girlfriend, did not fit her. I would like to set the record straight. This one fits. I made her try it on multiple times. Arguably, it's like a centimeter too long, but hammer toes. So, you know, it's a win in my eyes. Again, if you watch my sock video, you'll know the pattern issue. You'll also know that it's on the most beautiful, sparkly, tartist blue yarn. And once again, I will link the yarn dyer in the description box below. They are UK based and they do a whole set, and I'm using other yarn from that set as well, of Doctor Who kind of related yarn and stitch markers, and they give you a couple of candles and a crochet hook with like a hand crafted clay handle. Very cool stuff. So like I said, link will be down in the description. This is a half object of the longest sock I've ever made.
Is it bigger?
Yes.
On the inside.
It's like the length of my torso. It's kind of impressive. But, you know, boots are tall and you need to keep your tootsies warm when you're wearing boots, so that's why this is long. Now, that's my half object. That's also my most recent finished object. We're now going to take you way back to March of this year. I don't know about you and the country that you're in, but in March of this year, Canada went, "You're staying home, motherfuckers," and we went, fine, because we're responsible and not selfish, and we wear masks. I digress. So, back in March of this year, I made this. Now, okay, before I get into the actual item, I will say that when I first relearned how to knit back in August of 2019, I was really focused on knitting for other people. If you watch my first video on the channel, I talked about knitting 4 or 5 scarves, or 4 scarves and a cowl, and those socks and everything before I knit anything for myself, because in my mind, I'm a perfectionist. If I was gonna knit something for myself, it sure as hell better have been something that I was going to wear. And otherwise I would have just rather give something to someone else, because the chances of someone else wearing something that they were gifted is higher, because I don't know, if someone gives it to you, you're more likely to wear it. That's my logic. So in quarantine, I made myself a framework bralette. This is a pattern by Jessie May. I think she's Jessie Made on Rav. I will link her Ravelry store and her Instagram in the description box. She's a Chicago-based designer, and she does a lot of bralettes and tops and sweaters. Her pattern writing is really innovative in the size inclusive world, because she really focuses on negative ease with bralettes and lingerie type items that honestly is brilliant and really well thought out. And this item for me fits like a glove. I've knit 2 others. I'm going to show you one other one because it's a pattern variation. Because they're just that cute. I'm going to knit one of my best friends a ripple bralette as well that you will see in future episodes. She's just, if you don't already know of Jessie, and you are looking at this and thinking, wow, what a beautiful bralette, I encourage you to look into her stuff. It's truly magnificent. So, oh, and by the way, hopefully we're running B-roll somewhere through this so you can see it on my body, but we'll see. So, like I said, I knit 2 other ones. Hold on. It's in one of my mini bags. It's one of my bag of tricks. Okay, there we go. So I knit 2 other framework bralettes. That one, okay, I should say, I knit the size medium. I am a 42 bust around my widest part of my bust, and about a 36 at my true waist. So the medium, I was kind of in between sizes when it came to the amount of negative ease that I wanted in the pattern, and I chose to size down from a large to a medium so that I would get a snugger fit, because my concern was that it was going to kind of stretch out as I moved around, and I was right. I definitely like the medium, but I would have knit the body much longer to make it a little more croppy length. So she does explain this in the pattern, but essentially when you wear a garment with a lot of negative ease, what happens is you see how long this is now, and then see how long it is when I stretch it. So if that's on your body, it's not going to be this length when it's on your body. It's going to be the stretched out length, right? So take that into account if you do want to knit this pattern or any kind of bralette with negative ease, that you're going to want to knit it, I would say, longer than you expect to knit it if you want it to fit like a crop top. If you want it to fit truly like a bralette under your bust, then that's fine. Go ahead and knit kind of to pattern specifications, but just something to keep in mind, I guess that's important for that one. And then I knit this one for my friend Tabitha. She's a coworker of mine, and she wanted, so she's petite and needed the size, I believe small, it could have been extra small. Okay, so she wanted the cups to be elongated so that her chest actually fit into the cup, like in the actual triangle. On the regular bralette pattern, it fits more down here, and then this kind of comes up here, but for her, she wanted it to fit more like that. So I did the instructions that Jessie provides for an elongated cup, and I knit the straps too short. So I saw my friend recently, we were social distance hanging, and so I had her try it on. We checked the length of the straps, and I do need to add 3 inches total, so 1.5 inches of length onto the straps. I want to do an entire video on knitting for other people. I think it can be challenging depending on the garment. I think I chose the most challenging garment to knit for another person because it is very personalized. But let me know in the comments below if I do a video about knitting for other people and knitting garments specifically, what questions you might have and what you might want to know about that, because it's not the easiest. You kind of need the body to base things off of, right? So this is the second quarantine knit. The third one was another framework bralette in the exact same color for my sister Jenna. It's missing in my home, but it looks like this, just with the same cups as this. So nothing huge. You can tell I went on a Jessie May framework bralette kick. I can't say enough good things about this pattern. It brings me joy. It's a quick knit, it's an easy knit, it's a DK weight, so you probably already have a skein of that in your stash. If you're a large or smaller, you can do it in 1 skein. If you're a large or above, I would suggest probably 2. The pattern gives you all this information, but you're watching this now, so I might as well tell you. If you have scraps of DK and you do like the ribbing in one color and the straps in the same color, and then you do the body in another, love that. A little bit of contrast action. It's just one of those things that's like, it's quick, it's easy, it's gratifying because it looks cute as hell. Knit this. Okay, so then my next quarantine knit, at least quarantine finished object. We'll talk about whips in a second because I knit many other things before finishing this one, but this is the finished object. So you may, if you follow me on Instagram, have already seen this. It is the, what's it called? It is the Rift Tee by Jacqueline Ciesliak is how I would say her name by looking at it spelled. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, you can tell me off. Sorry, Jacqueline. But she is another very talented designer who really takes fit into account. The boat neck, which is like this, and the V-neck, which is down here. She also offers a, what would you call that? A customized bicep.
Just watch out for the guns. They'll get you.
So I picked up my stitches incorrectly, and my bicep is actually just fitting around the circumference of my bicep. So I actually plan to probably rip that out and reknit it when I feel like it. It's wearable. It's just bothering me that I know it's wrong. But what she does in the pattern is she gives you the option to take the circumference of your bicep and write it into the pattern space, and it will essentially is a formula that gives you the circumference that you will end up with once you finish knitting, and the number of extra rows you have to knit in order to achieve that custom bicep fit. I think that's something that is often overlooked. I hadn't ever thought of bicep circumference when knitting a top until I started looking at, there's a pattern by Boylan Knitworks that I want to knit. I think it's the Novelli tee. It's the one with the color work at the bottom. I was looking at the sizes and I go, okay, if I think bust size, I'm a size 4, but if I look at the intended ease and the bicep, then I would need to size up to a 5, which is a little bit frustrating because then I'm gonna have what I personally would think is too much ease for the style that I'm going for in the body. So I really appreciate that Jacqueline takes into account the fact that your bust size may be for one size, but your bicep may be for another, because everyone is different. That's okay, that should be obvious, but some people don't get it. So that is this beautiful tee. I knit it out of Kobu yarn from Lion Brand. It is very soft and very drapey and very lovely. This pattern does call for a sport weight yarn. However, Kobu is a DK. She does say you can knit it in a DK, and it's kind of up to you for the amount of drape and kind of looseness in your fabric that you're looking for. I do plan to knit, there's a long sleeve version of this in the pattern, and I want to knit it out of the Lichen and Lace non-superwash sport weight. I'm forgetting exactly, but it's a Canadian yarn company that does a really beautiful sport weight non-superwash, and I'm gonna have a warm cozy version of this. I'll probably knit it in 2021 because at this point I don't got time. But that's that pattern, and all the information will be below. It's really fun. It was also really quick. I think I did the bulk of this in like a weekend. So it's, I like crops and I like t-shirts because it's fast to knit. And yeah, we'll move on to my works in progress. So, hold on. Oh yeah, word for anyone who wants to make this drink who hasn't tried it. If you are prone to heartburn from acidic beverages, maybe not this for you. I just like to suffer. So one last thing about this project, I will talk about the yarn that I used. It is the Cascade 220 Superwash worsted weight. Cascade does superwash and non-superwash, and they do a plethora of colors. I picked up mine from Romney Wools in Toronto. I remember I bought 2 balls, and I think they were between $11 and $15. So I think I paid like probably grand total $30 to make this, and I still have leftover yarn that I actually gave my sister who's learning how to crochet. So economy wise, pretty good. I know if you're looking specifically for Cascade yarn, that like if you like this yellow, I believe I used the color Golden. You can find most of the Cascade range on yarn.com. If you are in the US, I imagine shipping is better than it is to Canada. I looked online to have yarn.com shipped to Canada, and it's honestly super affordable as well. So I think I'm probably, when I'm not drowning in whips, I'm going to put it in an order there. I think that you can get some of their range on yarncanada.com, and you can also get it from like local yarn shops and things like that tend to carry, like Romney, like if you're in Toronto, tend to carry it because it is one of those affordable options. And this pattern is one that calls for a DK weight, and you can sub it for like a light worsted. This is what I would consider a light worsted, and it worked fine. I hit gauge, all that stuff, the important things. So one more thing about this one is the yarn that I used. This one is much more drapey lightweight because I did use a true DK, and it is the Barocco DK Vintage. So what it is, it's a wool blend. It's a wool acrylic with a little bit of nylon, if I'm not mistaken. It's the same thing I made my rye socks out of. And the reason I like that for this is the nylon provides that stretch elastic, but also that durability that it provides socks, which for a garment that's sitting close to the skin, that's gonna probably experience some friction. I think that it makes sense to use a yarn with something with a little bit of nylon. But like I said, this is much lighter weight than the worsted weight Cascade, so take that into account as well. And also, this one was purchased on yarn.com, as most of my yarn is, because their shipping is really cheap. And they're Canadian, which I like that too. No duties and all that jazz. And I believe I buy a lot of Barocco Vintage DK because I like it has like a heathered quality to it that looks like tonal. It's not super solid, which I think gives a little bit more of like that handcrafted quality to it. I think it looks really nice. And I know I buy a lot of their yarn, and I want to say again, it's between $13 and $15 a skein, and I used one for Tabitha's and one for my sister's, and that was in the size small. And each of those times, like I think I finished one, started the other one, and then added in the second skein for the other one. So again, it's one, I mean, you can see how much yarn it's using. It's obviously not much. So if you're looking for kind of a quick stash buster type project, and you know you have DK in your stash, maybe you have that like really special skein for my hand dyed person, I would suggest this one for sure. Let's talk about whips. If you're new to the knitting world, a whip is a work in progress. I should have said this earlier. A hoe is a half object, and a faux, an FO, is a finished object. We like acronyms here. Romney Wools, I mentioned them earlier, that would be a LIS, a local yarn shop, etc., etc. So, when I say I started and did not finish too many projects in quarantine, I'm not exaggerating. We're gonna start with bag number 1, okay? It's covered in dog hair. I said this in the intro. Don't at me. Okay, if you have animals, you know the problem. Cotton yarn, because dishcloths. I talked about this in my first video on the channel. If you haven't watched it, go listen to me ramble about how lovely dishcloths are. That's literally the video. Let's talk about my love-hate relationship whip, shall we? It was a test knit. I did not finish in time. I contacted the designer to explain the problem. I did not realize that knitting color work over long periods of time was going to make my hands hurt. But it did, and now I'm a person who experiences hand and forearm pain if I knit for too long because I don't know when to quit, and I did this to myself. So now I know, like, I have certain stretches that I do, and I take breaks and blah, blah, blah. I was already a slow knitter, and this just slowed me down even more. It's not the pattern's fault, it's entirely my fault, so I want to clarify that and say that this has nothing to do with the designer and his lovely pattern, because when I say it's lovely, it is so cool. It is Max the Knitter's Active Duty sweater. I am making it for, can you guess? My girlfriend. Who else do I knit for if not myself? I knit it for her. It is a sweater that is knit in all over stranded color work to look like a camo print. Now, I'm working on the yoke still. And if he watches this, he's gonna be like, girl, you were nowhere near finishing.
Yep.
So if you can notice, it's like a little bit bubbly. I'm a little bit worried that my tension is off and it's not gonna lay flat, but then when I pull it as if to block it, it looks normal to me. So we'll see. If you're a stranded colorwork fiend, like I am not, and you're like, hey, yeah, here's the issues you're gonna run into, let me know so I can rip it out and re-knit it before I get like past the yoke and then have to deal with all of that. The yarn that I knitted in, I'm realizing this is the most Canadian sweater I'm ever gonna knit. So Max the Knitter is a Quebec-based knitwear designer, and he is, lives in Canada with his dog and his very adorable colorwork sweaters that I want to knit every single one of. And I'm knitting it out of Tanis Fiber Arts. This is her spruce colorway, and then the gray is her charcoal colorway. She is also Canadian, also lives in Quebec with her lovely husband and 3 children. She also has a podcast on YouTube. I'm not sure if she's been updating it recently. If you follow her on Instagram or know anything about her, she does a lot of really beautiful tonal and speckle yarns. She has a range of, she calls them pure wash. So it's a specific way of doing the superwash process in an organic and, environmentally friendly way. She explains it all on her website. But what I really like about Tanis is, one, her colorways are absolutely stunning. She has something from super light pale to all the way to super dark gray and all the speckles and beautiful tones in between. There's pretty much a color for everyone, but what I really love is there's none of the waiting game of is the colorway that I want going to be in stock? Do I have to pre-order for a sweater quantity? Do I have to wait 3 months, 3 different tries of getting it into my cart to be able to purchase it? They do all of their stuff dye to order as far as I know. I could be wrong. And everything on the website is available all the time. She just recently went on like a little bit of a hiatus, a little bit of a break, like summer with her family, which is perfectly reasonable. We all take vacations from our day jobs. I don't see why indie dyers can't as well. And I also do want to say there's nothing wrong with dyers who only have the capacity to do a small dye lot and small amounts of their colors, and they have to do dye to order for sweater quantities. There's nothing wrong with that. I just am not someone who, I don't buy a skein or two because I think it's pretty. I very much plan out, okay, I know I'm knitting this pattern and I know I want this, I know I need this yardage, and now I'm going to go seek out the colorway that I want, right? So with Tanis, I'm able to see everything laid out in front of me on the website, and I can pick and I can select, and nothing says sold out or out of stock or anything like that. So I can really plan a project, and so I really appreciate that about her. Also, love supporting another Canadian as well. So if you didn't know who she was, now you do, and you can go at least check out her Instagram, because if anything, her kids are really adorable, and she makes really beautiful yarn too. So that's what I'm knitting the active duty sweater out of. You will probably see Monica in it in, I don't know, honey, fall of 2021. What do you think? It'll be her. You know what we'll do? We'll make it by Thanksgiving. Canadian Thanksgiving, October of 2021.
Oh, honey, Thanksgiving? Oh, honey, thanks living!
That is a reasonable goal, because I am one, a slow knitter, and 2, color work is not, I thought I liked it. I knit a very small dice bag, like D&D dice to hold your dice in, and I knit that in color work, and I said, that was so fun, I did that so quickly, wow, color work, easy. The wrongest I was ever wrong, okay? So that is a work in progress that I'm working on. I'm still on bag number 1, okay? The other project that I'm working on that is in here,
Oh, they're ready.
Undetectable extension charm.
here. Is this. This is the Be Thankful Cardi by Lily Kate Makes, or Lily Kate, what's her last name? I want to say her last name is like Paris or something. I don't know. But she's Lily Kate Makes on Instagram. And her designs are very simple, but I'm not using that word negatively. Her designs are very simple in the way that she wants the structure and the small details of her garments to speak for themselves, and she does very kind of classic silhouettes and kind of turns them into something stylish and wearable, but I hesitate to use that word because anything is wearable if you put it on your body. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's good for newbie knitters who are like second or third sweater, they've like done a classic raglan or something like that, and they're like, I'm ready to pick like a sweater project that I know I'm gonna wear. This is the designer I would suggest, because all of her patterns are adaptable in some way. You can change the length, you can change the yarn as long as it's the right gauge, that sort of thing. It's really like modification friendly, I would say. So the Be Thankful Cardi is knit seamless from the bottom up. So this is the front. It's gonna sit like this, and it is quite cropped, so it's gonna sit like that. So I am someone who, I mean, I'm wearing a crop top, you can see it right now. I'm someone who likes to wear crops because I'm tall, and I think that they flatter my shape in a way that I like, so I wear them. I also wear dresses quite often, and I find that unless you're wearing a complete cardigan that covers your butt, a crop looks a little bit better on a dress because it, I don't know, it hits in the right area for me. So this, I saw her post it and it was in this beautiful blue tweedy yarn and I said, I need to make that sweater. And then it was my birthday and my best friend Mackenzie said, I'm not even gonna ask you what you want for your birthday. I know you want yarn. Can you just send me a link and tell me how many of the skeins I need to buy you so you can make a thing? And I said, yes, I can. So then I went on lovecrafts.com and I found this yarn and I said, it's on sale and you can buy me 5 skeins so I can make this cardigan and you will make me very happy. And so she did, and then I cast it on the next day. And now this is where we're at. I haven't touched it in about a month and I'll explain why in a moment. And mostly because, like, see, I'm literally in the middle of a row. Because I ended a ball and I said, I'll add it later. It's later, honey. What have you not done? You haven't added a ball.
Oops, my bad.
So the yarn I'm using for the Be Thankful Cardi is another, in my opinion, budget option. I think on sale this was $6 a skein. It's worsted weight and it gives you 219 yards for 3.5 ounces. It is the Baracco Ultra Wool. This is the shade Chickpea, I believe. It's only giving me a color number. But if I'm not mistaken, on lovecrafts.com, it was the color Chickpea, which we got a chuckle out of because I choose to eat vegan. Obviously not fully vegan, I'm using wool, but like I choose to eat vegan because I'm not gonna eat animals, that's gross. And the vegan is using a wool called Chickpea. Like if that's not freaking funny, I don't know what is. So that's the yarn I'm using. For the Be Thankful cardigan, the reason I kind of stopped knitting on it is because I needed to add it in a new ball and I was like, when am I gonna wear this? It's the summertime, let me finish my Rift tee. And I did, and then now I've been wearing the Rift tee in the summer and it's been great. I will probably pick this back up after Christmas because I have Christmas gifts that I want to knit in time to give them to the people that are getting them. So this will be my like New Year, I'm knitting for me again continuation. And another reason I stopped knitting on that, because it's pretty straightforward. I could just pick it up like TV knitting type thing, but then I knit Monica a sock. And then I started another test knit that I'm actually going to finish because I didn't bite off more than I can chew. I will own up to the fact that I should not have taken on that test knit. I got really excited because it was a beautiful camo, like androgynous, anyone can wear it kind of sweater, and my girlfriend looks real good in a knit, and I was like, I'm gonna make her that. And then I was like, well, I'll just wait for the pattern. And then he called out for a test knit and I was like, well, I don't know, maybe I should just test it because that could be really cool because I have never tested it before and it's an experience that I want to try. And I was like, cool, we're gonna put in for the size. And I genuinely was like, I'm not gonna get it. I'm too new of a knitter. I don't have any knitting at that point. I didn't have any knitting on my Instagram. I was like, he's definitely not gonna pick me. But I think because I asked to knit a larger size, which often test knitters or designers have a hard time finding test knitters for larger sizes, that's why I was chosen. So I think I kind of, I guess, underestimated the possibility of me getting it. And then when I got it, I was like, well, I'm all in. I bought like $300 worth of yarn. Like this is my expensive knitting project for my baby that I want to make very pretty. But I bit off more than I can chew, and I definitely could not finish it in the time allotted. And that is all to say that I will be putting out a video at some point to talk about test knitting and why it's not for me and why it might not be for you and why you should not apply to a test knit if all you're doing is trying to get a free pattern. And we'll talk about that. But here's a test knit that I'm doing that I am going to finish because it's a crop top in DK weight. And as you know, I like me a crop top in DK weight. I can knit that shit real quick. So this is going to be the, don't look at how my ball of yarn looks, ignore that.
Shame.
This is going to be the Rainbow Fish crop top. Galaxy Knits is the designer's Instagram handle. Her name is Elizabeth. And this is going to be, now let me stretch it out for you. It's going to be a croppy top, like this. And then it's gonna come up like this, and then it's gonna be like, you know, like the trapezoid, and then it's gonna go, and then there's gonna be straps. I'll put in a picture. or you can go to her Instagram and look at it. It's hard to explain, but it's gonna be one of those high neck crop tops. I'm knitting it with, so the band might be familiar. This is the same as the sock. It is from that set that Monica got me for our anniversary for the Doctor Who yarns. This is a variegated, it's the skein was like half gray and then half white with speckles. So it's knitting up, I'm holding it double and I'm trying to get it so that the gray and the white with speckles are running together so it's fairly even. And it's knitting up very tonal, speckle, etc., etc. And it does have a sparkle to it. So in my mind, I was originally going to do this in like a deep teal, Barocco vintage DK, shocker, the only DK I purchased it would seem. I was going to do it in that because I was like, oh, like fish, teal, ocean, makes sense. But then I was like, rainbow fish. I watched that show as a kid. That motherfucker was sparkly. So I'm holding my fingering weight sparkly yarn double and I'm really, really excited about it. I think it's really cute. I just started the increases from waist to bust, and then I'm going to knit, you know, the chest part and then the top and then do all that. I will say so far, test knitting this, you're expected to find the flaws, and there have been a couple typos maybe, or like, oh, I forgot to add knit 2 at the end before beginning of round sort of thing, but otherwise it's been a very smooth process. The pattern is really exciting. I think follow Galaxy Knits or like follow the hashtag rainbow fish crop top so you can keep up to date on it. The sizing is really interesting. You essentially choose your starting waist circumference with a negative ease between, I think she said it was between 1 and 4 inches. And you start with your waist, and then you, in the pattern as you're knitting, choose the amount you want to increase for your bust size. So it's not an automatic, okay, I have a 42-inch bust, I'm knitting the 42-inch bust size, even though that might not match my waist. You're starting at your waist, and I'm saying I need to do a 6-inch increase because I did 4 inches of negative ease, so I did 32 here, and I'm gonna end up with 38 up here, which is 4 inches negative ease for my bust. So I got to choose that, right? Whereas other patterns maybe not. So this is really cool if you struggle to find well-fitting garments because maybe your bust to waist ratio is less or more than a typical graded pattern would be. I definitely would suggest looking into this one because, like I say, it is just very well considered in terms of customization for bust and waist size, which is really cool. So is that it? Hold on, let's go back into bag number 2. Make sure I'm not leaving you out whips wise. Okay, there's one more. Last thing. I was really excited and then the camera died, so if my energy seems a little bit different, that's why. But so this is a hat. Oh man, I can't even begin to explain to you how excited I am about this. It is a hat for a bearded dragon. It looks tiny because so is she. Her name is Queso. She is orange. She is owned by our very bestest friends. And I'm so excited because it's Queso's birthday soon, or at least the day that Raquel decided it was Queso's birthday. And I was asked to make her a birthday hat. And because she's orange, I used the fun variegated yarn that I was very specific about in my sock video, that it was for me and for me only, because I was really excited about knitting socks out of it. But then I was like, how can I not knit the hat for Queso out of this? So it's not done, and here it's like a little top hat. And I'm gonna block it, and I'm gonna put like little tissue in it to, like, when it dries, to be like the right shape. And then it has this brim, and on the brim I'm gonna add little picot edging to it. Oh, it's gonna be the sweetest. I am going to put a secret pocket on the inside. I'm gonna make it like this in here, and it's going to be the perfect size for an engagement ring because our bestest friends, Nick and Raquel, are a lovely couple and just the best and deserve all the happiness in the world. And when Raquel asked me to make a hat for Queso's birthday, Nick was planning to propose and had already purchased a ring. And he was like, because of the pandemic, there's not much we can really do. Like, some restaurants are open again, but you have to wear masks and it's kind of a whole thing. And he wants it to be a surprise. And if in the middle of a pandemic, he's like, let's go over, like, it's gonna ruin the surprise. So instead, the little pocket, the ring is going to go inside the little pocket and it's going to go on Queso's head because I'm going to make a chin strap so it stays on her tiny little head. And then Raquel's going to find the ring and that's how he's going to propose to her. And it's just... I'm only keeping this in the video if it's happened already and then they can watch me gush over it. And I'm going to, if Nick provides a photo of Queso wearing the hat, I'll put it right here. And by me, I mean Monica will figure out how to edit it in right here. And you guys can, oh, how cute it is. Yes, Queso's a lizard, and yes, maybe you're a cat or dog person, but hear me out. She's freaking cute, okay? Do not diss my bearded dragon niece. Thank you very much. That's it though. Those are my whips. That's all I'm working on. Well, not all I'm working on. We'll talk about my crochet and like languishing. Eventually I'll finish them whips. My poor whips. But for now, that's it. Those are the things I plan on finishing soon. And those are the things I plan on photographing soon, which means I plan on posting them on Instagram soon, which means this is a perfect time for me to shamelessly plug my Instagram. It is below. It's at Sarah Corrine Moss. It's my full name because I want the government to be able to find me in every way possible. You can too. I might change it to Sarah Corrine Knits, but I just kept my regular personal Instagram as my now knitting Instagram because frankly, starting at 0 followers is, why would I do that? So go ahead and follow me over there. If you want to tell me I was wrong about something in this video, you can go ahead and do that there or in the comments below. I accept criticism. And if you want to follow me, you can do that too. If you want to like, subscribe, hit that bell button so you get all the notifications about the new videos. Look at me being a good YouTuber, and comment below. I think earlier in the video I asked you to comment something about something. Tell me a whip. Tell me something you're working on. Tell me something you finished during quarantine. Tell me like 10 things that you finished during quarantine. I alone knitted, I think, 5 dishcloths? At least. You know, we all have our thing. Thank you for joining me for the Sip and Knit podcast. I am Sarah of Sarah Corrine Knits. And once again, just like I don't know how to do intros, I also don't know how to do outros, so bye!